Hey everyone, I want to make this video for you to show you how the brushes look in the wave. So if you plan on putting on a show or submitting your art for a show in the wave, this is going to be good information for you to know. You can see which brushes look good and which ones to use a little sparingly. Like, I already know the disco brush is really intense in the wave. What I did here was I took all of the brushes and just made a grid of them. Some of them I put the name just because they're sometimes a little bit hard to identify. And this is going to be up on Poly. So if you want to bring this into your own wave space, you can do that. I'm going to call it the hue test. And the reason I'm telling you the title is because that's how you find artwork to pull into the wave. So I am actually going to change these colors because I did already import this and it's just not as fun to look at black, white, and gray. The black, white, and gray is basically the intensity of the colors. So black would be, all the way to the bottom. The white will be all the way to the top. And then gray is just in the middle. So I'm going to keep the lettering the same, but I'm going to go ahead and give it some color so it's a little more fun to look at. So I'm going to do a sort of purple color here, and so the gray would just be somewhere here in the middle. And the reason for showing the black, white, and gray, top, bottom, and middle part of the hue bar is because this controls the color intensity, which in turn controls the intensity of the animation of a given brush. So you can see there's a difference there with the waveform. So this does also translate over into the wave. And so another tip to think about before importing your artwork into the wave is before you export it here from Tilt Brush, you're going to want to go to the lights. So go ahead and turn off the main light. So just go ahead and click on that and make sure it is all the way to the bottom. The reason for this is, as told to me by Rue, DJ Rue in the wave, thank you so much for that tip, is because you can add lighting in the wave, and also if your lighting is too bright coming out from Tilt Brush, it will just be too bright when you import your artwork. So the best thing is just to add lighting in the wave and go ahead and turn off the light here in Tilt Brush. So after I save, I'm going to go ahead and upload this to the Poly website.
A little trick that DJ Totsi told me about is to keep your piece unlisted, and once you need the piece, turn it public, and then you can pull it into the wave. And then once you get your piece into the wave, you can go back to Poly and just turn it back to unlisted, and it will keep your artwork private on Poly. So just go ahead and publish that. And now I can go into the wave and look for hue test for the wave and then pull this into my scene when I am in edit mode.
What I'm going to do is go into my wave maker space, and it's usually just going to default to your first scene. This is the VJ board, and it's got lots of different controls here. I don't know much about this yet to actually do a tutorial on it, and I'm pretty sure there are more qualified VJs to do that. So I'm just going to show you simply how to pull your artwork into your space here. So first you need to go into edit mode. And it's going to spawn this window here where you can add waves and you can explore Google Poly. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the search icon and I'm going to type in hue test and just search for that. I have two of them here, but this is the one I want. So I'm just going to click on that and it's going to load that into my space. So I can move this window and kind of move things around here. I want to go ahead and expand this art piece. And what I'm going to do is just grab it with the other controller and with my triggers. I have the Vive controllers, so it's probably everyone's trigger, I'm assuming. You can just spread your controllers apart and it will scale your art piece. So if I go out of edit mode, it's going to ask me to save, and yes, I want to save it. So now I can go and play some music. So I can select them individually or just switch to automatic DJ and then it will start playing. Okay guys, I'm not sure if you can hear me very well, but I have the music about halfway up for my local volume, and this is how the brushes look for me. Now, if someone has the music lower or higher than what I have it, the brushes are going to look different for them. But for this tutorial, I just want to show you the effects of the volume level on each of these brushes. So obviously these are the basic brushes, the markers, the flat brushes. This is the soft highlighter. And this is the waveform brush. Now, if I want to, I can go here and adjust the glow, which is it's a little intense. So I'm going to turn the glow completely off and just make sure everything is, kind of off. So now I can see the brushes a little better. Again, this is the soft highlighter. This is waveform. And the rainbow brush seems to only have one strip of color. I'm not really sure what's going on with that. This is snow. Light is really reactive. You can see fire just kind of chills there. It's still animated though. That's really cool. And this is the white. So this is like the most intense, color hue on that purple bar in Tilt Brush. So it looks like Velvet Ink is not reacting. And then this is the, which one was this one? And this is Hypercolor. It seems to be animated in here. So I'm not really sure if these animations are consistent. I would have to do a couple more, tests of like pulling different brushes in just to make sure that the animation is the same. But yeah, it kind of looks like Hypercolor has like a sort of like a wave to it a little bit. Embers seems to just, not be animated or radioactive in here. I know in Tilt Brush, I think it has a little bit of a radioactivity. An audio reactivity. So yeah, this is really good to see if you guys want to pull, this model into your wave. You can really just kind of study these and take a look at them for yourself and just kind of see what you want to use for your art piece when you import it into the wave. Streamers looks really cool. And then the Toon Brush is also animated. So I really want to talk about the Disco Brush. Right now I have the music at, halfway up. I have it about halfway up. Now if I turn it all the way up, You probably won't be able to hear me talk, but let me just show you an example of what happens. Okay, so you can see that the disco brush is really, really reactive, and I have it on one of my pieces that I imported in here, and it's a bit too much. So if you do use a disco brush, it was also suggested by the DJs in here who have imported tilt brush artwork in here, is just use this sparingly, you know, because it's really gonna overpower your art piece if you have the brush tip for the disco brush like too big. I would definitely use it on like the smallest brush size that you can get it in tilt brush. Another one that I wanted to show you guys was the hypergrid brush, which is in this area. It's just not here yet. It's kind of weird. It like drops all the way down and then it'll come back up here. So right now I'm just waiting for it to cycle back up here. It does behave a little differently than it does in tilt brush. So yeah, the hypergrid brush is a little weird. It kind of does its own thing in the wave, also in tilt brush as well. So yeah, just remember how it, you know, behaves when you're using it in your art piece. Okay, so I almost forgot to pull in the perfect shapes from tilt brush to see if those react well in here. I'm thinking more about the electricity brush and its extreme animations. So let's see how that looks. I went ahead and uploaded to Poly. So I'm just going to search perfect shapes. And it's actually both of these. So with the first one, I want to test it with no light. And the next one is with lighting from tilt brush. So it looks like these are really complex, and I'm thinking that it's not going to let me bring in this second one with the light. I was able to bring this much in, which is oh, that's interesting. It shows, okay, so this is the electricity brush, and it is, you know, as like a perfect sphere. Well, that's the gesture anyway to get this reaction with the electricity brush. And here we have perfect circle and perfect spheres. This is chromatic wave, and it doesn't seem to be animated really. This is actually the neon pulse brush, and the colors should be kind of like animated going across, but they're not really doing anything. So let me turn on some music and see if that's what the problem is. Okay, so I went out of edit mode, and it seems like the animation is just like really slow, you know, for chromatic wave. The electricity brush is still dancing over here, and oh, okay. So these are moving just slightly for the neon pulse brush. So yeah, it's a little different, and it looks like I'm thinking that the hyper color brush is going to change a little bit, but oh, it does. It changes the color a little bit. Okay, so they do have some kind of animation. Making a sound, suddenly some movement. The champ jumps, sending all the swimmers out of their lanes. Splashing so hard, the pools half drained. Judges don't know what to do. They're like, man, they never seen nothing new. This is something new. So we stop the race and disqualify them too. The judges take a huddle, the crowd begins to boo. They're all with the moon. Testing, hello. They begin to chant and stomp, let the dolphins swim. The judges let them in, freestyle swim. Behind 4 guys in a butterfly. Kick flips to the next lap, it blows right past. Leave the whirlpools and waves. The next 3 lanes stop. So yeah, guys, feel free to bring this into your wave space and kind of check out the animations on all the brushes and just to see which ones you want to use, and let me know if you have any questions. You can message me on the bottom of the video or in the Discord or on Instagram. All right, take care, guys.